Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Thanks to your vivid description of yourself and your clothing, I was able to picture you clearly in my head. You should write a book. I don't care what it's about, I just love your writing. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. I apparently throw off a physical aura that screams, "I work here!" I have no idea how it works. I must put off some sort of aura or produce a very close mimic of the pheromones of the common North American retail worker, because I'm virtually besieged with people that think I work at various retail stores. I don't. I never have. Due to cosmic balance, relatively smart, and the size of a professional wrestler are evened out by chronic joint pain and my body's reaction to being under any sort of stress being, "Quick, lads, we must purge the digestive system. Begin emptying out both ends, post-haste." Which means I never will either. I'm quite sure most establishments would greatly prefer if you didn't do your best Linda Blair impersonation all over the customer. It doesn't matter what store it is, be it the Kingdom of the Bullseye, the Land of Blue Vests, or that crappy place next to the grocery store where half the tiles are cracked and there are weeds as tall as I am growing through the cracks on the sidewalk immediately in front of the store. I will be confused for a retail employee. I don't have to be wearing anything remotely similar to the uniform of the store. Being pro wrestler sized, I buy all my clothes from big and tall websites. My wardrobe is basically a palette swap of soccer shorts, jeans, and t-shirts with one pocket on the chest. I'm not wearing a blue vest, I'm wearing shorts. I'm dressed in a shirt that's the same shade of orange butterflies used to announce to the world, "Oi, world, I'm poisonous, you better not eat me." I'm a huge, towering figure, broad of shoulder and scale to require going through most stores sideways so as to not crash through the door frame and leave a man-shaped hole in the wall. I am in no way, shape, or form close to wearing the uniform of any store I visit. And the color of my shirt makes no difference. The biggest offense commuted whilst clad in aforementioned blaze orange, but children show dinosaur purple, don't hit me with your car lady high visibility yellow green, or black as my increasingly scorn-filled soul all grant me no protection. The color of my t-shirt cannot save me from the aura I seem to exude from my very pores. My record is, on a big sale day, being asked 4 times in 5 minutes if I work there, while in shorts, with a shirt not even remotely colored like the store uniform polo, utterly bereft of the several-inch-long bright red embroidered store logo. The worst was, as I mentioned, while I was wearing a bright orange shirt and shorts. Not merely was I not wearing a vest in the Kingdom of Blue Vestments, but I also happened to be pushing a cart at the time while using the self-checkout. How? How can the human mind be such a wretched thing as to look upon a man the size of an NFL lineman dressed in the same easily seen orange they put on convicts, nary a blue vest to be seen? Not only with a cart, but actively scanning his purchases with intent to buy and go, "Yeah, I bet that guy totally works here." It happens every other time I go shopping. Not wearing the store uniform does not make me safe. Wearing shirts that are literally anathema to the store's palette on the color wheel does not make me safe. Pushing a cart does not make me safe. Being in checkout actively having items rung up does not make me safe. I could probably put on a Lucha Libre mask, a singlet, and tights, and I'd still be accosted in the Kingdom of Blue Vests, where they confuse famed masked warrior Del Guerrero with Chikara's own retail dragon, who's a masked pro wrestler that has a blue vest as part of his ring entry attire. On the bright side, I'm getting quite well practiced at soul-searing death glares to the point where the last confused, brain-fried shopper to ask me, "Do you work here?" was affixed by my terrifying gaze and answered herself with, No, you don't," and fled in terror before the hatred in the blackened, shriveled mass that is my heart roasted her alive on the spot. A complete and utter hatred for inattentive customers that are completely and utterly capable of using visual stimulus to ascertain the completely obvious? Perhaps this is the source of the aura that makes me confused for a retail worker. And our second story. Oh well, I guess my kids are just gonna have to go hungry. I've been working retail for a few years now, earning enough to pay bills while working on a bachelor's degree. My first long-term position was at a semi-national grocery chain where I mostly did cashiering. It was monotonous and paid crap, but dead easy. The hardest times were the first few days of every month. That's when EBT benefits were renewed, and we got a lot of our income through EBT transactions. Most people go ahead and buy all their groceries for the month then, resulting in all available cashiers dealing with multiple $300 baskets in their lines. One night, I think it was early July, I had a closing shift at the register when we were hit with a storm. We get nasty thunderstorms in the summertime where I live, and this one cut our internet connection, making EBT transactions impossible. I had to turn down a lot of customers, and buggies absolutely filled with food started piling up at the front. Many asked if we could tender the transaction without using our card readers, but nobody on the clock knew how. Most were upset, but understood enough to try somewhere else. Except this one lady. Let's call her Mama Bear, or MB. She had 2 kids riding in the buggy seat over an impressive haul of packaged meats and frozen dinners. When she arrived, I was in mid-explanation to another customer about our situation. I turned to her and asked if she heard what I told the other customer. MB, yeah, I'll just wait here and see if it starts working again. I think nothing of it because I'm busy stopping more customers and letting them know, but she sits in front of my register and simmers. After about 5 minutes, she asks why we can't accept her EBT card. I calmly explain the situation to her again, but she insists I ring her buggy up and try. I relent and go through the process of scanning and bagging this full buggy, then get to the tender step. She swipes her card and we wait for a full minute, but all I get is a timeout error notice. MB, well, what's that supposed to mean? I explained to her that we have to reach the EBT account online in order to tender her purchase and that the system times out if it can't connect to her account. She seems to get it this time, so I call my manager to cancel the transaction and she moves her buggy aside. I go back to dealing with other customers but notice that she still isn't leaving the registers. She comes up to me after another 5 minutes and frustratedly demands I try running her card again. I go through the full scanning process a second time, but yep, internet connection still down. I call my manager and ask to merely suspend the transaction so I don't have to scan everything again. The process of scan, fail, and suspend continues for the next 15 minutes, with Mama Bear angrily spouting, "I'm not mad," and "It ain't your fault," in the time between cycles. Finally, she decides that she's had enough of this supposed class warfare to which she's been subjected and throws a massive fit right there at my register. MB, "Oh, it's not your fault, but I don't see why you can't take my card." "Oh well, guess my kids are just gonna have to go hungry tonight. I guess you don't care that my kids are starving." I was relatively green at this time, so I quietly turned to my manager for advice. Her solution? Wait the lady out and call the cops if she doesn't leave soon. I was less than thrilled with this, but sure enough, Mama Bear soon got fed up and took her kids out of the store. We both breathed a sigh of relief. Then about 10 minutes later, Mama Bear comes back, this time alone. She walks straight to my register and pulls out a $20 bill. MB, "Can I get a pack of Marlboro menthol lights in a box?" What the F? You spent half an hour futilely wrestling with our card readers and spitting venom in my face, then turn around to buy effing cigarettes? What happened to those starving kids of yours? You could have gotten them enough to make a decent cooked meal with that 20 spot, and you didn't even spend it all on the cigs. You could have still grabbed some frozen dinners with the change left over. The worst part is that she was completely unfazed by all of this. She didn't get mad at me again for all the trouble I gave her. She didn't demand to know if our readers were working again or ask to speak to a manager. She didn't even look remotely pissed or even marginally perturbed. She was cool as a GD cucumber. If I was dealing in a Las Vegas casino instead of working a crappy grocery counter, all the other players would have folded immediately at the nice statuesque poker face this woman donned in pursuit of sweet, sweet emphysema. At this point, I was too flabbergasted to put up any fight. I gave her the cancer sticks and sent her off, but the rage, the confusion, the frustration this woman inspired within me has burned since that day. I saw her once or twice after the incident. She never said a word or gave a look against me. She didn't remember. Or maybe she didn't want to remember. But I did. And I will. One day I hope to write and direct a motion picture in which I will immortalize this retail memory and others for generations to come. But until then, this post will suffice. Maybe it was her twin. I know it wasn't, but I have to cling to some illusions before I throw up my hands and lose all hope. Well told, OP. And our last story. Neighbors cut down my tree. We bought our house July of 2018, and the previous owners had put a ton of work into landscaping the backyard. It was absolutely gorgeous, and even though we live in a city, it felt very private. Didn't see into neighbors' yards at all. Shortly after we moved in, our neighbors made a comment that they didn't like a certain tree, a mature sumac tree with gorgeous red flowers that was on the edge of our property, near their fence, but still our property. They basically tried to tell us we needed to cut it down because they didn't like it, but we told them we were actually a big fan of the tree, and if they wanted us to trim anything that may technically hang over their property, we would, but we wouldn't remove the tree. Throughout this summer, they made a few more offhanded comments on how we should cut down the tree because it makes the back corner of their yard, behind a shed, too shady. Last week, my fiance let them know he'd trim it back a bit, that his schedule was really busy, so he wouldn't be able to get to it for a couple of weeks. Yesterday, without notifying us, they cut down a huge portion of the tree, starting from the base, only about 2 inches above the ground, left of the trunk. They also cut down a bunch of other shrubs and branches that were in no way on their property. Update: we decided to go to court, and now they have to compensate us for the damage of the tree, as what they cut down was on our property. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.